Now, the tables, I will just summarize with one or two questions. Then you see how to do tables. First of all, basic concepts in tables, calculations in table, and then also modifying tables. Um, Please, before that, let me check if there's no other question. If there are no other questions, then I'll, okay. So I'm moving straight to table, and then we have to end the session. Then tomorrow, or maybe I'll tell you the time and another date so that we can finish off Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word involves a lot. So we're going to close the chapter with a table today. And then in the next lesson, we will focus mainly on references and then also um, developer forms, mail merge, and others. So that one will not be, we'll spend more time regarding that. Right. Now, regarding table, let's start with the first table. Two, a queen. Now, the question says, format the table as follows. Insert a solid line border outside with 4.5 pt without changing the inside borders. Set the default cell spacing to 0.05 centimeter. So there's a table under the heading body language. This is the table. Now the question says we need to set the border to 4.5 pt, that's outside, and then we don't change the inside border. Now, whenever you are dealing with tables, select the table by clicking on the select tip or two tip. When you click on it, it select the entire table. Now, it's going to give you table design and then table layout. We use table design to put the borders and then also to change the header row, the banded rows, banded columns, and then the table style. We use the table layout to delete column, delete row, merge cells, and then also properties of a table, change directions, cell margin, sort calculations, and then header rows. Now, this question says we need to set the table outer border to 4.45 pt. So here we pick 8, 4.45 pt. Is it 4.45? 4.5 pt. Now the border has only up to 3 pt. Over here, we can go more and look for the borders. This is 4.5 here, 4.5. So if you don't have the option here, you go and select it here by clicking on this arrow, and then you choose it from here. Right. And then again, when you select it, then you go to border. Then you say outside border, so that it will be applied to outside. We are not changing the inside one, as the question says. Then we go back to table layout. Let's not forget to select it. Table layout, and then cell margin. Then the question says we might change the cell margin. We take allow spacing between cells 0.05 centimeters. So that will be the cell margin. Now the cell margin, that's a lot. If I change it to 1 centimeter, it's going to give the spaces between the cells. You see the spaces between individual cells. That is the cell margin. Now the question says we might change it to 0.05. Right. So that's all about that particular question. Now, 2M shows. This question here, so here they had it, they want us to apply it to be in table. So let's look at it. 2M shows. Now it says we might find a text that starts with extreme festival. Extreme festival. Okay, this one. Right. Now it says we should do it like that. That means this one was merged together. You go to table layout and choose merge for this one. And then they put a border around it, a thick border. So you select, then you go to table design, you pick a thick border. You can change the pen color to black and then a thick one. This is 3PT. Then we choose outside border. Then the inside one remains the same. So that is what they wanted us to do for that particular question. Right, now, one honey trade. Let's take a look at that also. Then the question says, find the green highlighted text under the heading honey and esports to the rest of the world. Convert the text into table. Remove the green highlight. Hint, choose text as a separator. There's a table or there's a text that starts with or under the heading honey esports. Okay, this one. Now we need to change this one into a table. You select them. Don't select it to cover the other space also. It must be the exact selection like this. Then you go to insert table. Then you see convert text to table. Now the question says we need to use the tab as a separator. So here we use the tab as a separator and then okay. Now it should be 3 columns. So meaning that this one covered, so we can just cut this to this place and then we cut this also. We don't need these 2 columns. So you go to table design and say delete column. We don't need these 2. Right. So now with this, there are lots of things that you can do about this table. Let's take a look at some of the things you can do. When you select the table, under the table layout, we have auto fit. Auto fit to window to cover the entire window. And then we have auto fit to content to fit in the content. So the question can tell you to auto fit. Again, we can also, like I said, change the properties, and then we'll make it to the center. Again, when you go to table layout and you choose properties, they can also ask you to do this. That's the preferred width in measurement, percent, or in centimeters. Or they can also ask you to specify the row, height, and weight, and then the cell spacing, they can ask you. Then the alternative text, the title and description, the alternative text for the table, for the title and description. You get it under the properties. So you must watch out for that. Then again, if they ask to center vertically and horizontally, you will find it under table layout. you will see here, center align to vertically and horizontally. Then they can also ask you to change the direction. When you click here, let's say we want to insert a new one on top, you click there and then you go to table layout, you will see insert row above. So let's say we want to merge this, you select and you see merge cells. Now, if you want to cut this and paste, you select it, you right click and choose cut, then you paste it inside here. We can also do a lot. When you come here, we have what you call the repeat header. We can do that, and we can sort your document also. If you're asked to sort them, you can select and say sort. Then we want to sort according to maybe the top 10, or we want to sort according to the value in ascending or descending. So you can be given a question to sort it in ascending order or descending order. Then again, we can do calculations. Let's say we want to do calculations here with the values. When you are to do calculations, you go to table layout and then you find formula. Then we can do the calculations here. There are lots of functions that you can select. Let's say average. Then inside the bracket, you say above. That means going to find average of the above. Then again, let's say your calculation, you want to round it. You say round, you open bracket, and then you put everything to, let's say, comma 1. So you can round it to 1 decimal place. You can do all forms of calculations here with round and others. They can even ask you to do percentage, average divided by 100. Then you change it to percent. Right, so all forms of calculations can also be done over here that you need to take note as a grade 12 learner or even grade 11 learner, all forms of calculation. Then again, the cell margin that I showed you, you can change the cell margin and direction. They can ask you to change this direction, to change the direction to any direction of your choice. But if they ask to shade the values, you don't use this shading for table. We don't use this one for shading. We use table design. Then you see shading. So that to fill in the whole box. So that's how we shade also. You must take note of that. Then like I showed you earlier, the cell margin. If you go to cell margin to 1 centimeter, allow spacing to 1 centimeter. I can see there are spaces in between them. Right. So watch out for table. That is all about table that they can ask you. Like here, apply any grade table style. Then you go there. When you select the table, you must always select the table. Then the styles are under table design. These are the grade table styles. And these are the plain styles. They have the list style and others. So you need to watch out for that type of table. And then bended rows option like this one. And then the row height to exactly 0.7. So if they ask you to change this row height, you click there. Table layout, row height. You change it to the exact height. Bended rows, you get it from table design. Bended row, you take it here. And bended columns. Right. So they can ask you so many questions about this. Like you see here, they have the cell spacing for 1 centimeter. And then they told them to do some calculations here. Average number in 0 decimal place. And fill it with blue color. Here, they ask them to calculate 15% VAT. We will look at that type of question. So always check out for this type of question. This one, they change the direction and they inserted a new one on the left-hand side. So there are so many things that you can also find. They can ask you to center vertically and horizontally, the dotted lines and others. So you need to watch out. This type of question, they converted it. We will look at that before we end one Zoom. And then you will see how they separated it. So I'm just going to do the last part, then we finalize the one Zoom. So, like I said here, they can ask you to also split the table and others. Let's say they ask you to insert a new one on the left, column on the left, and then you merge it. So watch out for these type of questions. These type of questions. Right. Now, there's a question about the VAT 15%, one honey trade. Let's look at how to do the VAT calculation in a table. Right, this one here. And the question says, sort the table alphabetically according to the type. That's the first column, but do not include the heading row or the last row. So here we are sorting this one here, and we are not including the last row. So we don't select the last row. Table layout, then choose sort under the type. In ascending order, only the text. So you are using a paragraph. Then okay. So you don't have to include this one. If you select up to here, it's going to include the last row. Right. And then again, it says, modify the formula in the last cell, highlighted in yellow, to include 15% VAT. Now, there's a calculation given to us here. We want to include 15% VAT here. So you need to click on it and you go back to formula. It says sum above. Now, to include, so whatever answer that you have there, then you must say multiply by 115 divided by 100. Now, why did I say 115 divided by 100? Because we are increasing by 15%. So we need to say 15% plus original percentage, which is 100%. Then it's going to give us 115%. And 115% is equals to 115 over 100. Then click OK. Right. Now, so to include it, that should be this one divided by 1, sum of the above. Let's check the formula again. Sum of the above times 115 over 100. I think we need to put this into bracket. Yeah, it's still the same, but maybe because of the point. Right. Now, so that's how we do the calculations. So you can go through them one by one and then you do them. Now, 2 PDP. This one is saying use a table feature to ensure that the top 2 rows will display on the second and subsequent pages. So that one here, the highest number of views, we use max. The highest number of views, so here we use max. So if it was like this one, we're going to use max. Max, you choose the max from here, the function. then say above. You choose the function, max. Into bracket above. Right. Now, that is the max for you. And then this question was in the top must be. Let's say we want this row to be, even when you go to the next page, it should always be there. Then you use this one called repeat header rows. Repeat header rows. You click there. So that the header rows will always be repeated, even if you go to the next page. That's the property they were talking about. Then the last one here is this question, one zoom. Then you can try your hands on this for me. You try this, which is similar, one solar into bracket 2. This one solar 1, one solar into bracket 1. So take note of that. And here they were talking about percentages, and then take the percentage rounded to the closest integer. Okay, I'll look at that also, because that one demands a lot of things to do. Right. So now let's finalize this. It says find the text, that's one zoom. Find the text, this one. And then we need to convert it to the table, as you can see here. Now you can see that this table is separated, or this text, they are separated by this one. So we are converting to a table. You select them, and then you go to insert table, convert text to table. Now you can see they are being separated by not tab, by forward slash. So we go to other, and then we put the forward slash over there. Then it converts to table for us. Then we insert a new one below, so that we can now merge it and put this requirement we cut, and then we paste them here. As you can see over here, they were merged together. Then the cell margin was applied here. You go to table layout, cell margin to 1 centimeter. So that now we see it exactly as shown over there. So that is how we answer this question. You can try this also, they are similar. Then finally, let's do that with the two Avengers with the calculation. It says find a table below the heading favorability of characters, and do the following. Modify the function found in the last cell to calculate the average percentage. Average percentage. Use a function to ensure that the percentage is rounded to the closest integer, similar to what I talked about here, average percentage. So we need to go to table layout, and then we go to formula. So average percentage, we change the sum to, okay, it's already sum. So sum, and then divided by, or we can use average divided by the count of above. No, it's rather the count divided by the sum, yes. It's the count of above divided by the sum above. So this one gives us this value, count over the sum. And then times 100, times 100, it gives us this. Then we change it according to the question. Use a function to ensure that the percentage is rounded to the closest integer. So we are going to use a function called round. into bracket, comma, 0 to the closest integer, or we can even use int for that. Then I think that's all. If you want it to be in percentage, you put a percentage there. It gave us syntax error. Let's look at this. Maybe that round of count of that times 100. Count of above divided by sum of the above times that. Okay. Let's look at maybe the comma or semicolon. Now let me remove the round. Let's go back and see. Count of above divided by sum of above times 100. We got a 2. And now we need to use a function to round it. We can use int function. Int function can also be used as round, which is integer to integer. Right. So that's all about this table calculations and others, the percentages and other things that you can do. Right. So you can go through them and then you do these questions also. Right. Thank you for your precious time.